Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Bible study. Today's a special day. If you're watching this the day it's released, it is Christmas 2023, and we're going to talk about 2 Samuel chapter 8. But before we do that, just wanted to thank everybody who's been joining us. It's a privilege every day to get to study the Bible with you. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and in 2024 an abundance of blessings. So thank you for all of your support and your kindness, and I hope that you find our Bible studies beneficial to you and helpful to you spiritually in the upcoming years. So now let's tackle 2 Samuel chapter 8. When did these events happen? David became the king of Judah in 1055 BC. He was king of Judah for 7.5 years before he became king of Judah and Israel, and he reigned as king of both for 33 years. So that would mean David reigned from about 1055 to 1015. Now let's go down to our character section. First of all, we have David, the second king of all of Israel and Judah. We're going to talk about a few new characters, several new ones. Hadadezer is the first up. He's the son of Rehob, the king of Zobah. We'll talk about where that is and when we go up to our map. And he was an enemy of Israel. Okay, so then we're going to talk about a guy named Toi, which I'm assuming is pronounced Toy. Toi was the king of Hamath. His country cultivated a friendship with David and with the Israelites because he was a mutual enemies of Hadadezer. And then we have Joram. Joram is the son of Toi. If you're with us for the last couple studies, you'll see that the map has changed quite a bit. We have zoomed out of the map quite a bit, and there are far fewer locations listed here, hopefully for clarity. Got several places to talk about. First of all, David's capital was in Jerusalem. All right, so he reigned from there. Israel was governed from there. David fought with the Philistines and the Moabites in this chapter. So you can see Philistia and the region of Moab on the map in bold, all caps. The Euphrates River is mentioned in verse 3. Now, this river is not in the general area that we've been talking about the last couple chapters. It's hundreds of miles to the north. So we're going to see the power, the influence of the Israelite kingdom spreading far beyond the borders that it had in the past. David fought with Hadadezer of Zobab. Now, where is Zobab? Most historians place Zobab in the region of Syria, and you'll see Syria on the map. David also fought with the Syrians of Damascus. One interesting fact about Damascus is that it's one of the longest continually inhabited cities in the world, and it's still inhabited today, actually. Other locations highlighted in this chapter include Hamath, Edom, Ammon, Amalek, and the Valley of Salt. I think you'll be able to find all of those on the map. All right, now finally we can get to our outline section. The first section of the two is verses 1 through 14. David's power extends beyond Israel's borders. God gave David victory over his enemies, both domestic enemies and his foreign, the enemies abroad. In David's time, the influence of the kingdom of Israel spread more than ever before. Israel defeated the Philistines, who were their longtime enemies. They defeated the Moabites, and they made them their servants. David met Hadadezer of Zobab as he was on his way to the Euphrates River, and he defeated him. He took 1,700 horsemen and 20,000 foot soldiers from Hadadezer. He also kept a few of his horses enough to pull 100 chariots. But he then hamstrung the rest, which would have rendered them useless in battle. The Syrians tried to aid Hadadezer, but David defeated them too, killing 22,000. The Syrians were forced to they had to pay tribute to the Israelites. Toi, who we were just introduced to, the king of Hamath, he sent his son Joram to David to bless him and to deliver a precious gift of gold, silver, and bronze. And David gathered a lot of other riches and treasures from the surrounding nations, and he dedicated them to the Lord in Jerusalem. David subdued other nations, including the people of Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, Amalek, and Zobab. He struck down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt, which is just to the south of the Dead Sea, and the Edomites became the servants of the Israelites. Our second section is pretty short. It's verses 15 through 18, and it's just a record of David's government officials, essentially. So David was king, obviously. Joab was the commander of Israel's army. Jehoshaphat was, quote, the recorder. Zadok and Amalek were priests. Sariah was secretary or scribe, as it's described in the King James Version. Benaiah was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites. And then David's sons were priests, and that's translated as chief rulers in the King James Version. And now finally for our application section. This chapter is another great example of the faithfulness of God and the reliability of God's promises. So way back hundreds of years before this, in the time of Abraham, God made Abraham a promise. And Genesis 15 verse 18 reads like this, quote, "In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." Now, before David's time, the land that was actually under control of the Israelites was significantly smaller than this land that is described to Abraham. Many Israelites may have been wondering how God was going to fulfill his promise. Well, he did it by blessing David, his kingdom, and allowing him to expand his influence from the river of Egypt to the Euphrates River. And by the way, the river of Egypt is not the Nile River. River of Egypt is actually a small stream. I believe it's called a wadi, which marks kind of the northern border of the Egyptian kingdom. You will see it on the map. Anyway, the application is that the nation of Israel is a case study in the faithfulness of God. And so reading stories like this should instill confidence in us that God is not going to let us down when it comes to fulfilling his promises to us.